Welcome to the Even Better podcast, where your host, Sinikka Waugh of Your Clear Next Step, brings you exciting content about making communities better by helping people get even better at work.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Even Better podcast. This is Sinikka Waugh, and thank you so much for joining us on our continuing mission as part of Your Clear Next Step to help all of us have even better workdays so that together we can co-create better communities. I am delighted to welcome as our guest, Laura Casale. Laura, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be with you, Sinikka. Thank you.
This is a joy. So this is a treat for me because we get a chance to get to know each other a little bit better. We've had a couple of conversations. We've been in group conversations and we are embarking in a journey together as part of a coaching network and as part of some extended conversations. And this is a chance where we get to roll up our sleeves and get to kind of learn some things about each other. And so this is a treat for me because it's a relationship building conversation as well as a chance for our listeners to get to know you. So this is a joy for me to get to know you in this way. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So for our listeners, Laura Casale is a coach and a consultant. She's in the learning and leadership development space like I am. This is something we're both deeply passionate about. So she's in career coaching, integrative well-being, life purpose. So things that I understand so far about Laura is that she is really interested in making sure that people have a balance between their career development and their advancement, and that they are looking for achieving their own potential, that there's that balance between who a person is and how they're progressing forward in their career. She herself has held management and executive positions at IBM and at New York Life. So she practices what she preaches. And just lots of great, cool connections that she has. She's a coach with some cool organizations, lots of places to find her, lots of places to connect with her, lots of places where she connects with women in particular. And I'm really excited for this opportunity to connect and really to talk today about 4 things you can do to advance in your career. So Laura, how did this become a topic? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your journey and why career advancement and coaching became important to you. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, I think it all happened during the pandemic, Sinikka. Like I was working in corporate. I had been there for 20 plus years. I really loved what I did all that time up until the pandemic, which really forced me to, look at what I was doing in my life and what did I really want to do. And so I decided to make a transition out of corporate, but it was really tough to make that transition. It was really hard to find support. It was really hard to get clarity around what is it that I wanted in my life. And so I took myself on a journey and I continue to work on it. But yeah, I made the break. It's about 2 years ago and I am happier than ever. But I felt that it wasn't just me struggling. There are people, I see it in the contract work that I do for corporations today, in the people that I coach, they're really having a hard time too. Are they in the right career? Are they in the right position? How do they move from one position to another? So I feel like this is something I could really make an impact in and help others.
Absolutely. So when you think about your own journey, it was, I've progressed in corporate, I'm doing great things in corporate, and now there's this moment in my life where I need to understand, is this it for me? Is this really the right journey for me? And you found a way to uncover your own path and your own career journey, which took you out of corporate. Are you finding in your career coaching that everyone gets out of corporate? Is that the answer? Does everyone get out of corporate, Laura?
No, but even within a corporation, I think people are struggling to see what is their next move. How do I discuss this whole idea of me wanting to try something different with my manager? Like there's just so much uncertainty, even inside the walls of the company. And there are lots of resources they can tap into. They're just kind of frozen and scared and not sure what's the right next step. So they bring in a coach or the company gets coaches for them. And I walk them through the journey, right? So yes, do some people decide to leave? Some people decide to go from full-time to part-time if that's an option. Really getting to pursue what it is that they really want out of their life. And I've seen some dramatic changes in careers with clients, and I've seen some not so dramatic. It's just, hey, I want to get a promotion, right? Or I want to move to a new office. I want to move from the New York office to the California office. How do I do that?
Yeah. So as our listeners are listening today, we're going to be talking about 4 things that you can do. So anyone, anywhere, 4 things that they can do to advance in your career. And these 4 things are not limited, I imagine. They're not limited to women. They're not limited to people in corporate. They're not limited to a certain demographic or a certain part of the country. These are 4 things that anyone, anywhere can do to advance in their career. Is that a fair way to put it?
That's a very fair way to put it.
Okay. So, well, let's unpack them. Let's
Okay.
get going. 4 things that people can do to advance in their career. So the first one, you talk about connecting with your passions, purpose, and values. Oh, I think I like this first one. Let's hang out here for a bit. What on earth do you mean by that?
That's a lot, right? But what I realized in my conversations and thousands of hours with clients and coachees is you need these 3 things to set the foundation for you to make decisions, to really get to know what it is that you like. So I could talk about each one. Passion, people are not familiar with passions or not really sure what passions they have. It's that thing that gets you excited. It's that thing that you do when time seems to just fly. Like you feel like you're in a state of flow. You just feel good when you're doing it. And we know that people, when they are following their passions and they pursue them, they tend to be more confident, more optimistic, more grounded. So identifying those passions is really key to helping you in your career. And there's correlations, right? So for me, I'll just give you an example. I love gardening. I love baking, and I love doing puzzles. Well, I can't do either one, all of those for a living, right? I don't think I would really there's one thing to enjoy, have a passion for baking. There's another thing to actually be a baker all day, right?
Right.
So, but what are the things that I'm doing in those activities that I really enjoy? And I boiled it down to, well, I like growth. I like to see something grow from a seed to a plant to a vegetable that I can harvest. I also like problem solving. So when I get this puzzle with 1,000 pieces, and how do I put it together? Do I take a strategy going line by line? Do I take a strategy that goes by color? I like to solve the problem in the puzzle. And then I translate those into my work. So where do those things show up for me? Where am I growing something, and where am I problem solving? And that is what I do today. I'm teaching, facilitating, and I'm coaching and consulting. So it's it was a perfect segue, but that didn't happen overnight. I did a lot of work to get to that space.
Absolutely. And your passion. So as you identify your passion, the passions are, we shouldn't have to struggle to figure out our passions, right? They should just sort of pop in our heads. These are the things. How do you recognize your passion?
It's when you feel the most joy, like when you feel your most self, right? When you're doing something. If you think about it, if you pay attention to that every day, what is it that I'm doing that just feels natural to me? You'll find it.
Right. Yep. So as you and I were getting ready for this call, even the conversation about this moment right here, the opportunity that we have to do these podcast episodes, it's part of the work that I do that I absolutely delight in, which is meeting new people and learning their story and using the conversation about their story to help other people. This is so much part of my passion. I can't help but delight in it. So this is I know that part of my future, wherever my journey winds up taking me, somewhere in there, it has to include connecting with other humans and finding ways to use that energy to help other people together with our stories. It's got to be part of it, because this is the part that lights me up.
There you go. You made the connection within less than a minute.
Right? This is it. This is what lights me up. There are all kinds of things that I could do, but this is what brings a smile to my face. I talk about it as this is the dessert, right? This is the luxury. This is the joy in my day, and I would do it. I would do it no matter what. Yeah. Right. Okay, so let's keep going. You said connect with your passions, your purpose, and your values.
So purpose is about having a sense of meaning. It's the why, right? If you ever heard of Simon Sinek, he's famous for the why, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the why behind our actions? What's that thing that gets you up in the morning that you strive for every day? It's something that's external to us. So it's something that you're contributing to others, or you're contributing to the world, you're serving others. So it's something that you do that has an impact and is giving to others. So knowing your purpose really fuels you with endless motivation and energy to work. If you know, I'm going to do this because I believe in it, and it's who I am and at my core, then you'll lift and climb any mountain you have to get to what it is that you need to do. And you'll do that in your career journey as well. So once you know what it is that you want to do, you'll find it. You'll find the ways to find and uncover that role for you.
So this one's really interesting to me because in my experience with the Clifton Strength Finders and some of the conversations there are some personality styles that are pre-hardwired, if you will, to be purpose driven, right? That purpose and being connected with the why is already a driver for them, and that would be very obvious for them, and that is part of one of their strengths. And then there are some people that may have to dig a little deeper for that purpose isn't necessarily as obvious to them. I know that purpose is one of the, I couldn't get out of bed without it, right? But there are others who don't see it that way and who would struggle a little bit more to find their purpose, and that may have to work a little harder. Have you had experience with coaching folks who had to work a little harder at understanding, why am I here, and why, what is my why, and what is my bigger purpose, or the thing that is beyond me that drives me?
Absolutely. And, when you hear the word purpose, someone asks you, what's my purpose? It seems like that's way too much. Like, it's overwhelming. I don't know. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's a journey. Like, you have to find your purpose. Some people find it, like you said, they just have it. Like, they just have that ability to see it and know what it is. Some people might not find it till they're 50 or 60 years old, right? It's okay. But I have clients that I do help, and there's one thing in common. They always have like a voice somewhere in their mind telling them that you should try this. You should try doing something. You should think about this. You should pay attention to this. It's kind of like a little, just a voice inside in your gut, in your intuition telling you something. And it's worth exploring that, because if you feel like you're in conflict in your work or you're not fulfilled enough, it could be that. It could just be, let me pay attention to the voice. I'll give you an example. I have a client that has a passion for helping people in the health industry, and she's working as a project manager for a kidney disease research project. So she likes what she's doing, but it doesn't make her feel close enough to helping the people. Like, she doesn't feel like she can actually see the impact of her project management work helping people, like actually seeing them get better or, get the resources they need. So through coaching, we explored different things, and she shared that she's always had a voice telling her she should be a doctor. So she's started down the journey to see if she could pass the MCATs and do all those things. What would it take? How much would it cost? And she's exploring. And the more she's leaning into this, the more comfortable, the more like herself, and she's finding her purpose. And then the really good thing is she was in the healthcare industry, so they've offered to help support her in her medical career journey because they have doctors on staff. So it's like a win-win situation. But she always had that voice. She just thought, I don't think I could do it, but she could do it. She just had to put her mind to it.
Oh, lovely.
And listen.
Lovely. Also in there, you got connecting with your passion, purpose, and values. Let's talk about values. How does that show up?
Yeah, I would have typically included vision, like you need a vision for what you want. But instead of vision, I focused on values, like career values specifically, as they're playing a critical role right now. These career values help set the parameters for, what is it I'm looking for in terms of personal satisfaction and accomplishment in my work? How do I want to feel about my work? Do I want to feel good about it? And so there's 3 types of values. There's intrinsic values, extrinsic values, and lifestyle values. And the intrinsic values are, factors that create personal meaning within your role. So it's those passions again. Like, do you like to be creative? Do you like autonomy in your job? Do you like to be a leader? Are you a natural leader? Like, do you want to be leading? And the extrinsic values are the rewards you would get. So compensation, benefits, promotions, right? Level of influence that you might want to achieve. And then the career lifestyle values are, how do you want to work? What kind of support system do you need? There's the whole issue of diversity and inclusion, right? Like, so what is the culture in the company that I'm going to work in. So these three things are really important when determining wanting to make a move in a company or outside a company or just change in general.
Wow. Oh, I can see that. So as you're advancing in your career, understanding, so just unpacking that whole first thought there, your passions, your purpose, and your values, understanding what is it that lights you up, what is it that's driving you forward, and then what kind of work environment, what do you need from your workspace, from a intrinsic, extrinsic, and then the workspace, what do you need it to provide for you? If you understand that and you're connected with that, you can recognize your journey or where you're headed. Is it moving me in the direction that I need to go for my own personal satisfaction and fulfillment?
Right.
Is it
Right. And it helps set you off on the exploration part, right? So knowing what I like, how I want to show up and what I value helps me to find and start exploring what is it that I really want.
Yeah. I like this idea of exploration, and you've used the word journey, and like I can almost imagine adventure as part of it as well. It's almost this idea that maybe we should get over the thought that we have arrived, and maybe we should keep enjoying the journey, right? Keep enjoying the progress towards that we're moving in the direction of we're advancing in our career, that we're continuing to make progress in that direction.
Right. And again, to Simon Sinek's point, like nothing's finite, right? Like anything can be like the possibilities for a career are infinite. No one says just because you're doing this, you have to do that. You have the ability to design the career that you want, which leads to the next one, which is taking the lead on
Ooh,
your
all right.
career.
Let's go there. Let's go there.
So this one specifically came from some inspiration that I got from me in an aha moment one time. So it's about taking the lead for your career by leveraging your strength. So there was a time in my career I was really struggling and I wasn't sure what to do, but I knew I needed to make a change within the company, within the same company. And I said to myself, like, I'm so good at what I do. Why is it? Like, I asked myself, why am I such a good consultant in this role? Like what makes me, I was a top performer, like I was the best, getting the best reviews, the best clients, all of that. And I realized it was the strengths that I had. So I had very strong project management skills and very strong leadership skills. And I took a few assessments, confirmed this, because you could take a lot of online free assessments. The company might offer some assessments on strengths. You could buy books on it. So I used those strengths to then create my plan and take the lead, like take the control to say, okay, this is knowing what my purpose, my passions, my values are, this is the direction I want to go in. And I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna wait for my manager to tell me this is your next move, or I'm not gonna wait for a company to lay me off. I'm gonna really make the decisions here. So it was really leaning into my strength that I used. And I believe that this is something that would also enable and empower people to do the same in their own career to help them advance.
Absolutely. Taking the lead. So many of us have this sort of misperception that career development needs to come from some other source. Like my leader should offer me development. My organization should offer me development. My organization or my employer should tell me what my next career path should be. And I think a lot of, even as a business owner, one of the things that I've been frustrated by in the past was the employees who would say, well, what do you have for me? Right? What's the career path that is laid out for me? Well, yes, I can do that. I will happily create opportunities for you. I'll create vacuum, and you can slide into that and you can advance. And you as an individual must take the lead, right? You gotta own it. It's your development. If I'm working harder at your development than you are, then this is all upside down and backwards, right?
Right.
So I love this idea of taking the lead for your career, but you've taken it even further than that. It's on leveraging your own strengths. It's who am I? What am I good at? Where is my confidence coming from? What do people recognize me as? And there was a school of thought some years ago that we have to, know your strengths and then work on your weaknesses, man, get rid of all those weaknesses. But I see you, our listeners can't see you shaking your head, but I see you shaking your head in agreement. No, we don't have to beat ourselves up for our weaknesses. Let's leverage our strengths. Let's acknowledge our deficiencies. Let's acknowledge the places where we're not as strong. Let's grow those skills where we need to, and let's surround ourselves with people who can help us where we're not as capable, but let's grow our strengths, right? Let's leverage those. Let's lean into those things that we're naturally great at.
Yeah, they are our superpowers, right? We should use them and use them to build our strengths. If you don't know what they are, or you're unsure, you have an idea, ask somebody who knows you. How do you see me? What are my strengths? They'll tell you, and you'll know whether it's right or wrong, right? Or you could take one of those online assessments. But it's really, yeah, it's leaning into those strengths to give you the fuel to move through.
Yeah, love it. I love it. Okay, so then you've got some ideas. So I'm going to pause for just a second. If you are just joining us as a listener and you have just stepped into this podcast episode, thank you so much for joining us. You got to rewind. You got to go back to the beginning because you missed some important stuff here. And we are here joined today with Laura Casale, and she's talking about 4 things you can do to advance in your career, wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, to advance in your career. 4 things you can do. First one is connecting with your passions and your purpose and your values. The second one was taking the lead for your own career by leveraging your strengths. And now we're going to move on to number 3, which is explore and be curious. Oh, this is going to be so fun. I'm curious, Laura, what do you mean by this?
Okay, so there's really no one specific way to build skills or experience that one needs to advance. It's not just one for everybody. It's really best to explore different ways, again, leveraging your strengths and passions and doing what's feasible for you. You know, as a coach, you're never telling a coachee to do something, right? Do it this way or do it that way. You're asking them questions to get to what works best for them. I think it also helps to know your learning style. So how do you prefer to consume knowledge on this exploration? Do you want to read? Do you want to listen? I'm an auditory learner, so I like to listen to podcasts and audiobooks. I'm also a kinesthetic learner, so I take what I hear and I like to physically put it into practice. So knowing how you like to consume your learning in the way to explore are connected, and it's good to know that. And if there's a specific skill someone needs to obtain or advance, they can explore different ways to obtain it, depending on their preference, depending on their situation. For example, you could take courses. If you like to take courses, you could take courses. If you like to read books, you could read books. If you like to learn by doing, you could try a stretch project in the company. Ask for something that's outside of your department or organization and try something else. You can have a mentor. You can volunteer. You can even have a side hustle, right? You could even try to do something outside of your work. It goes above and beyond, but it gets you a skill. It helps you advance in a skill or some experience that you might be wanting. So I encourage people to just explore, have fun with it. It is part of like a journey, right? There's an infinite number of ways to do it, but you'll know when you hit the sweet spot because you feel good, you feel comfortable, you're sinking into your passions, right? You're experiencing that feeling.
Absolutely. That exploration, that curiosity. I think one of our other podcast guests referred to it as playing sometimes when she was exploring that curiosity. You got to play a little, have a little fun with it. It's that giving yourself permission to try something that is a stretch for you, that's outside of what you usually do.
Right. And it's really an exciting time to be exploring, because I'm noticing that organizations are really trying to be creative in new ways to help their employees learn. So there's like technology that they're leveraging that, you know, you've got the virtual reality now. You have the metaverse, right? It's a totally different way to do some learning. Organizations have internal podcasts that they do. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get some of this information that you need and you can explore. They even have those opportunities for stretch projects, volunteer projects, all to help you, even to support you if you want to go for a degree or certification. Some companies are offering reimbursement packages. So there's really no reason that you can't get what you need to advance. I think you just need, like you said, to realize it's available to you, and like you can ask and you can play with this, you can explore.
Absolutely. I'm thinking about, as you're talking about the opportunities that are available right now among my client base. I am aware of an institution of higher ed, right? So education, an undergrad 4-year liberal arts college or residential college that has made LinkedIn Learning available to all students and all faculty and all staff. So LinkedIn Learning would not formally have been available in a an institution of higher ed. That's just really fascinating that now that's available. So it's another forum where you could go and learn something entirely different than your field of study. A high school that I'm aware of and connecting high school students with then trades that they're using virtual reality goggles that are allowing them to learn trades. And there's a goggle, an interactive program that allows these students to learn the skills to like measure and do measuring tasks that they might do to do some of the trades, some of the carpentry trades and some of the plumbing trades, measurements and other things that they wouldn't need dangerous equipment for, but that they can practice the hand motions and the movements of their arms and the dimension things without the tools and the skills, but with the goggles where they can learn how to do some of those skills because they have access to goggles and virtual reality tools. It's just phenomenal, the things that are out there right now.
It is. And even if you just start exploring in your company or your university, wherever you are, what do they have to offer?
Yeah.
And that's even a good question to ask your manager. What does this company have to offer me in terms of development? And you might uncover some of those things.
Oh, so wonderful. All right. So we are looking at 4 things you can do to advance in your career. Just talked about exploring and being curious. Let's get to the 4th one. Setting goals. Oh my. So this is no surprise that you've got some background in project management here. Let's unpack this one a little.
Yeah. And you know what? Setting goals isn't always fun. Like if you think about the New Year's resolutions, how many of them go unfulfilled, right? We really don't stick with goals. So I try to take the pressure off the goal. And here's where I bring in the vision. So instead of a large goal that you want to set, just what's the vision that you have? Like, what is it that you're envisioning for yourself or that you would like to achieve? And then set some smaller goals. And I'll call those steps. So what are the steps that you have to take to get you closer to your vision? And then I think it's really important to celebrate every step you take towards that vision, even if it was a failure. So even if you tried something and realized it didn't work, so you're exploring and you didn't like what you explored, that's okay. You learned from that. You learned that that is not something that you really like to do. Even if it's just getting back on track with your goal, it's just something to celebrate, because if you don't feel good about what you're doing in the journey, you're not going to keep going. So we often don't take the time to celebrate, especially for ourselves. So it's really important to recognize all that we accomplish, and all of those little steps add up. They really do. So that's why I think I know goals and me and project management is like, I don't stick to them either. So making them into a vision, like creating a vision and then making small steps, I think it even helps from a cognitive dissonance perspective. So sometimes you set that big audacious goal, that vision, and you're like, how am I going to get there? And you just, you kind of procrastinate, you could get lost. So setting the small steps just helps you to say, one step at a time. They do add up. They do help me see how I can bridge the gap from where I am today to where I really want to be. So that's what I focus on in the 4th step.
Absolutely. Well, I'm thinking about that interval piece. I mean, that's the very name, your clear next step. It's always been about your step, not ours. Right? When we're talking to our clients, it's never been about our step. It's always about yours, because we're a very client focused organization, and it's about clarity, right? Where is that goal? What's that big? Where is it that you're trying to get to? It's always about clarity before action. But then to your point about that, what's the very next thing you're trying to do? What is that very next step that's going to get you to that big goal that you're trying to get to? And celebrating there, we just don't do this enough. I'm right there with you, Laura. I have the background in project management as well. And the big goals are great and they should be aligned with our organizational strategy or with our mission or with our big picture vision. But we got to celebrate the little stuff along the way, because it's the little stuff that adds up that gets us to the big stuff. And if we don't celebrate, then we'll be all doom and gloom and we'll never get there.
I kind of liken it to running a marathon. Like if you decided you wanted to run a marathon as your big goal, you wouldn't just put your sneakers on and go to the starting line and run 26 miles. Like you would create a plan and you would have to take steps along the way. But, every day you'd make a longer run, right? Maybe you'll start with 1 mile. In a couple of weeks, you'll be up to 5 miles. you're going to feel so good when you hit that 5 mile mark, and then you'll feel really good when you hit the 10. It's that kind of feel, like you want to celebrate and feel good, have your endorphins, give your endorphins a boost, because that gives you motivation and pushes you to the next step. So I kind of liken it to running in a marathon or some kind of like sport achievement.
Absolutely. I'm going to take that idea and maybe add to it a little with a piece of encouragement that someone had offered me once, which was with when you achieve those things, especially in your career progression, writing down those achievements and having some sort of record of them. For me, from a project management standpoint, it was really useful then when I went to apply for my PMP and to sit for the exam and to be able to record, oh yes, I really did have this kind of experience and I really am qualified to sit for this exam. But the record, the documentation, the evidence that I have made this forward progress and that I've accomplished these things, then when I go to achieve, so we're thinking about this topic of advancing in your career, right? If you have kept a record of, I did this, I accomplished this, I did these things, when you go to apply for the next thing or to talk to your leader about that movement, that stretch goal in your next assignment, or that movement, perhaps not lateral, but upwards somewhere else in the organization, and you go to interview for that or to talk to the hiring manager for that, you can say, but look at what I've done. I did this and I did this and I did this. And you can say it with that boost and that confidence and that recalling that endorphin release that lets you sit taller and let's just have that the confident pose and the lifted shoulders and the smile on your face because you've done all that and you've got it written down. So you can say, no, I have the evidence of this. I've done this. I am prepared. I am ready to try this next assignment.
I love it. That's the perfect stamp on that. Like, that's perfect. Like, just keep a journal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Wonderful. So, Laura, as you think through these, any particular moment as you think through your own journey when these four things, as you've shared some of your own stories along the way, but any stories that sort of come out either in the people that you've coached or in your own journey where you were just really glad that you had sort of this connection to your passions or this ability to lead your own career and leverage your own strengths, or this ability to be curious and just keep driving out, or this ability to set goals, and that you were able to talk about it with others, that you've either helped yourself through or you've been able to bring others along, and you could just point back and go, yeah, over and over and over, I just keep seeing these as patterns. I see it here and I see it here, and I've seen it in my own life here and here and here, and I see it continuing to play out.
I do. I mean, I definitely experienced it multiple times in my career, and I didn't know these four things when I was going through it. I kind of just observed and took notes, kept a journal, and realized it after the fact, right? Like, in order for me to make a decision to leave my corporate executive role, I had to create a plan and I had to lean into, okay, what am I going to do here? Like, financially, what am I going to do professionally? Where's my support system going to come from? Right? Like, there's a lot of questions that you ask yourself, and it's sort of just morphed for me like that way. But it was really hard. It was a really hard decision to make. So again, I wanted to be able to give support to others. And I find this same thing happens to women. I don't have children, but women who do have children, it's even harder for them because they have the responsibility of the family. And so, building that into this too, how do they make decisions in terms of their job or asking for more and still needing a sense of certainty, right? So I see that playing out time and time again, especially for women, probably men too, but just, they want to be able to support their family. And so just becomes even more critical. And this helps really set the foundation for it. And it's not scary. Like, they can approach it in a way that's not scary. They don't have to make a knee-jerk reaction and make a bad decision.
You bet. Fantastic. So, Laura, this wouldn't be the Even Better podcast if I didn't ask you the question, what's making you even better these days?
I love this question. It's being my authentic self, really leaning into what is my purpose and who I am, the good, the bad, everything, and just being transparent and authentic. It really seems to be making a huge difference in my life. And I don't think I could have done that 10 years ago. So I'm really cherishing this time.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. So, Laura, one of the things that we invite our guests to do, of course, if someone reaches out to us, we will connect them with you if they want to reach you. But if any of our listeners wanted to reach you directly, is there a way that you'd like them to reach you other than through us?
Yeah, no, through you is fine. Yes.
Okay. All right. So anyone wants to reach out to you, they can reach out to us and we will connect them with you. Otherwise, what a joy to have you as part of this conversation, Laura. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. This has been really a highlight for me for the whole week. Thank you.
This has been great. And to our listeners, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for your time. If you are just now joining in, you missed it. You got to go back to the beginning because there's been some great stuff here. We had a wonderful time with Laura Casale talking about 4 things you can do to advance in your career. Thank you so much for listening. And on behalf of all of us here at Your Clear Next Step, we hope the rest of your day is even better.
Thank you for tuning in today. The Even Better podcast will be back with more content soon. But in the meantime, subscribe to our podcast or check out our website at yourclearnextstep.com for more information. See you next episode.